Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of our program. Today we host Mr. Mahmoud Kabani, the author of the book The Tablet of Life, which offers an in-depth study on the intersection of scientific and spiritual knowledge and proposes a fascinating hypothesis about the presence of encoded genetic information in ancient religious texts. Mr. Mahmoud, welcome to our show. Thank you, and thanks to all the viewers. To begin, what prompted you to write this book and explore the relationship between science and spiritual knowledge? The primary motive was an in-depth study of the dialectical intersection between the fields of scientific and spiritual knowledge. This book goes beyond the traditional framework of a literary work to constitute a rigorous, methodical investigation of paramount importance. This research centers around the hypothesis of discovering encoded genetic information within ancient religious texts, including the holy books like the Vedas, the Torah, the Gospels, and the Holy Quran. The research proposes a viewpoint that the textual passages dealing with the description of various diseases, treatments, and medical conditions in these sacred sources offer scientific evidence of authority, suggesting a divine origin for this knowledge. This is a very bold hypothesis that there is a genetic code in religious texts. And how do you interpret this encoded evidence? I interpret this evidence, expressed through rhetorical mechanisms such as metaphor, simile, and symbolism, as revealing a detailed blueprint of the human genome, specifically the X chromosome. The sacred sources describe human biology with astonishing accuracy, including the description of human genes and the structure of DNA in a metaphorical and detailed manner. The sequence of the themes of the verses matches specifically with the X chromosome rather than the entire genome. Why the focus specifically on the X chromosome and not the entire human genome? The X chromosome plays a crucial role in human development, affecting reproduction, sex determination, brain function, vision, hearing, and other traits. Many rare genetic diseases and abnormalities arise as a result of mutations on the X chromosome. Given its large size and the number of genes it carries, selecting the X chromosome as a representative sample instead of the entire human genome, due to the latter's large size and the difficulty of representing it in a single book, becomes logical in the context of searching for this correspondence. You also mentioned in your book that this discovery strongly reintroduces the concept of life after death, which has often been met with skepticism. How do your discoveries relate to this concept? Opponents have long argued that the reanimation of the body after death is scientifically improbable. However, significant developments in the fields of cloning and DNA extraction have changed this view, transforming the concept of resurrection from a mere theological idea into a potential scientific possibility. DNA can be extracted from ancient human remains, and the organism can theoretically, and soon practically, be reconstructed using advanced cloning techniques. This scientific progress raises the possibility of reconstructing organisms and opens the door to thinking about concepts such as the reanimation of memory and personality. These discoveries contribute to reinforcing the teachings of the prophets, showing the extent of convergence between scientific discoveries and religious prophecies. This harmony between science and religion not only strengthens faith, but also reinforces the belief that ultimate justice will inevitably be realized. You are talking about finding a divine code in religious texts, but there are many texts that claim divine authenticity. How do we distinguish the true message of God? This is a fundamental question. To effectively evaluate different holy scriptures, we need specific criteria. Many texts share similar passages, suggesting a common origin, but differences may result from copying errors or mistranslations. To determine if a book is a genuine divine revelation, it must meet several key conditions. It must be a direct revelation from God, free from linguistic errors, preserved in its original language and text, and provide irrefutable proof of its divine origin, such as miraculous scientific evidence. And, according to these criteria, which book does it align with this? According to the facts presented in the book, the only manuscript that aligns with these criteria is the Holy Quran. The Arabic Quran available today is an exact replica of the original text revealed to Prophet Muhammad over 1400 years ago, and its authenticity can be verified by comparing it with original manuscripts preserved in museums worldwide. The Arabic language used in it is still remarkably similar to the Arabic spoken today. Furthermore, the Quran explicitly claims that it contains advanced scientific evidence that testifies to its divine origin. Let's move to some specific examples. How do you match between verses in the Quran and genes on the X chromosome? In the book, I present a diagram comparing the locations of genes on the X chromosome with verses in the Quran. The methodology I followed relies on understanding the divine verses and translating them into clear clinical symptoms, then searching for the gene responsible for these symptoms. For example, the verse in Surah Taha that describes the state of a knot from my tongue. Searching for the gene responsible for this condition led to finding the TBX22 gene associated with X-linked genetic disorder, cleft palate, and tongue tie. Another example is the verses describing the short hands and short stature in Surah Abu Lahab. These verses describe the punishment awaiting Abu Lahab, who was tall mesen with big hands, which he used to torture people. The SHOX gene, which is responsible for birth defects of short stature and short hands, is located on the X chromosome, and its location matches the location of the verses in the Quran. A third example is the verse in Surah al-Baqarah describing the complaint of the children of Israel about certain folic acid-rich foods such as fava beans. This verse refers metaphorically to allergic reactions or folic acid sensitivity, favism, associated with the G6PD gene on the X chromosome, whose location reflects the location of the verse in the Quran. These are thought-provoking examples. What are the broader implications of these discoveries for or understanding of science and religion? These discoveries invite readers to contemplate the profound convergence of faith and science. Through the possibility that divine texts illuminate genetic mysteries, we can embark on a transformative journey of discovery. This endeavor promises not only to advance medical knowledge, but also to deepen our understanding of the human condition and our place in the universe. It suggests that moral values are not merely a product of tradition, but an integral part of our biological and psychological makeup. What is the main message you hope readers will take away from your book? I hope this book, especially for specialists in genetics, will inspire them to join the search for additional genetic markers within the sacred texts. By harnessing the potential of these ancient books as a genetic Rosetta Stone, we can accelerate the identification of disease genes, thereby facilitating the development of targeted treatments. The message is that the choice before us is clear. We can either await future discoveries or confidently utilize divine wisdom to bring about a quantum leap in our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Mr. Mahmoud Kabani, author of the book The Tablet of Life, thank you very much for this inspiring and thought-provoking conversation about the intersection of science and spirituality. Thank you, and thanks to all the viewers.